Welcome to The Right Stuff, your channel for all things on the writing craft. I am James Mansfield, your host, and I apologize for reading off of the script, but that's kind of how I have to do it until I can find a better way or figure something else out. Um, so, welcome to the first video. I'm glad you made it. If you're here, I hope I can help. And just to introduce myself a little bit, or at least kind of where I come from in my writing experience, is I am currently unpublished. I wrote one book and self-published it for a while. It was crap. I put out a second version, or a revised version. That was still kind of crap. So I ended up pulling it and polished it a whole bunch, and now I'm actually querying agents for it. So what I'm doing for my projects is, amongst some other side projects and stuff that I'm doing, is I am writing a full-fledged high fantasy trilogy with kind of offshoot stories of characters, but it's all going to be kind of integrated. And so I've got this main focal point of a trilogy here, and then I've got some other stories out here somewhere, and they all tie into this story. And I kind of explore how those characters came to be, or what molded them and shaped them into what they are in this trilogy. So it's not out yet. I've got the first book of the trilogy completely done. I've got one side story completely done, and I've got a third story, which is actually book 2 in the trilogy, that I am currently in the editing phases of. So that'll be done hopefully in a couple of months. That's my hope. That might be a pipe dream, but we'll see. So, anyways, moving on. Now this will be part 1 of a 2-part video, because my iPhone doesn't have enough storage to make the full video, and so I'm gonna have to break it up. So this is part 1, and then I'll put part 2 out just a little bit later, maybe even today. So this is gonna be for this is just a very basic. I'm gonna start at the very, very basic level of somebody wanting to sit down and write a novel, or write some kind of work. This video is for somebody who says, okay, I want to start writing. And so this isn't necessarily directed towards somebody who has already gotten their feet wet, for established authors per se. But this is just basic. I'm going to start out with the very basic topic for somebody who wants to kind of sit down and start writing. All right. So there's a lot that goes into getting your feet wet as a writer. There's prep, there's knowledge to be gained, there's understanding of basic elements of a story that are going to be vital in guiding you to create the best possible book that you can. And in order for you to be able to do that, you have to learn English. Yes, school, English, terrible. Well, I'm sure there are some nerds out there who loved English class, and that's all right. If you're one of those people, great. But yes, barring that you have an English degree already, or you already have an excellent handle on the English language, which might be the case, and if these things are true, then you don't really have a need to watch this video, and that's fine. But you will need to start learning some more things about the English language and cementing those into your mind. Or if you're writing a book in a different language, you obviously have to brush up on all of that happy stuff with that language. And just a couple of helpful resources that you can go to get a lot of grammar, syntax, English language advice is owl.purdue, Purdue.edu, and grammarly.com/blog. You'll find a lot of helpful tips there. So number 1, let's just go over some of these. Spelling. Learn to spell. You're going to have to learn to spell. If you want to try and publish a novel someday, whether through traditional publishing or through indie publishing, you won't get very far if you aren't spelling your words correctly. Yes, editors can fix that kind of thing. No, a typo here and there won't automatically be a denial for an agent or even necessarily a publisher. But you're gonna have a hard time having readers and agents and editors take you seriously and garner the attention that you want, especially from your readers if you're making common spelling mistakes. So number 2, punctuation. So this can be a little bit dicey, it can be a little bit difficult, but know when to use a comma versus a period. Learn what a semicolon and colon are. It's important not only to know what these things are, but when to use them, right? Some writers completely swear off semicolons and colons, which is fine. I think they have a place if you know how to use them and you use them correctly. That's just kind of your personal preference. Even if you have a pretty good idea, do your research on how these things are used as it pertains to not only English in and of itself, but novel writing. So when you're writing a manuscript, proper English doesn't always apply as it would, say, in an English class. So the things that you'll learn in an English class won't always apply to what you write in a novel. There are some distinctions, and it helps to know those as well. Alright, so number 3, and this will be the last one for this video before I go on to part 2, is sentence structure. Now later I'm going to do an entire video on the creative side of this down the road because there's some nuance here that's worth diving deeper into. However, how you orchestrate your sentences matters a lot for readability and engagement for your audience. From an English standpoint, it's good to know your basic sentence structure. Avoiding run-on sentences, verb agreement, understanding the parts of the sentences such as the subject, predicate, and the object, and how and where to place them. And again, I'll talk about more of this later, but I will say that it's important to know these rules, and it's important to know how to successfully break them. Because sometimes in your prose, I've heard that sentence fragments are actually okay in writing prose because it makes some of your lines punchier. It pushes them out to the forefront. So that's one instance where English 101 says sentence fragments are not okay, but novel writing is okay to use that. But just understand that you need to know what sounds good when you're writing. You need to know what sounds good and what might stop the movie from playing in your reader's head. If your sentences are garbled and kind of a disjointed mess, you're going to have a really tough time capturing your audience. When your sentences sound monotonous and toneless, you lose interest. Anybody that's read a book can really kind of see that it's hard to keep your attention on that kind of thing. All right, so that's the first 3 points. Look for the next 3 points in the next video, and appreciate you watching this one. And until next time, thanks for joining me here on The Right Stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Keep writing.